another video, and that is about anime conventions. So I've been going since 2007. I know some people that have been going to conventions since the 90s, but we've always talked about this. People that have been going since the early Y2K and 90s, and some that went in the early 2010s. Anime conventions just don't feel the same anymore. Just conventions in general, comic cons, all types of conventions, they don't feel the same anymore. And they're not cringe anymore in a good way. I just feel like since conventions have gone mainstream, they kind of lost their spark. And what I mean by that is since I still go to conventions, but I notice it's like a disconnection with a lot of cosplayers that attend or just people that attend in general that are not in cosplay. But people don't really go up to each other anymore to get pictures with each other, not trying to, know each other. Even like if you're in the same fandom, it's like some people are trying to compete against each other. Like it could be somebody from the same fandom that's cosplaying the same character. And I've heard some people, I've actually witnessed it. One person was like, well, my cosplay looks better than theirs. And it's like years ago, you would be so excited and ecstatic to see someone from the same fandom as you. You'd be like, I have to get a picture. And there's other examples, but I don't want to be long winded, as y'all know. So I'm going to get started. So, anime conventions aren't cringe anymore, but have they lost their spark? I never thought I would say this, but sometimes I miss when anime conventions were considered weird. And I mean weird in a good way. I miss the cringe. I really do. Now, before anyone gets upset, I'm not saying anime should go back to being bullied or looked down upon. The fact that anime is mainstream today is a huge victory for fans. We spent years hearing people say anime was for kids, that it was strange, or that anyone who watched it needed to grow up. Today, anime is everywhere. It's everywhere. Major celebrities openly discuss their favorite anime. Athletes celebrate by doing anime inspired poses. Streaming platforms compete to secure anime licenses. Hollywood studios are constantly trying to adapt anime into live action projects. Even people who don't consider themselves anime fans have probably watched at least one popular series. Anime won, but with that victory came a change that many longtime convention goers have noticed. Anime conventions don't feel the same anymore. And I apologize if y'all hear some growling. I'm pet sitting right now, and Theo, when he hears any type of noise, he starts to growl. So I apologize. Anime conventions don't feel the same anymore. And while that's not entirely a bad thing, I think it's worth talking about why so many people feel this way. Okay, so the old convention experience. If you attended conventions 10, 15, or even 20 years ago, the atmosphere was completely different. Back then, anime was still relatively niche in the United States. Sure, shows like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, and Inuyasha were popular, but anime culture wasn't fully accepted by mainstream society. For many fans, conventions were one of the new places where they felt understood. You could spend an entire weekend surrounded by people who shared your interests. People weren't worried about looking cool. People weren't worried about follower counts. People weren't worried about becoming influencers. Most people were there because they genuinely loved anime. The convention itself felt like an escape from the outside world. You see handmade cosplays held together by glue, cardboard, and pure determination. People organized random photo shoots in hallways. Fans stayed up until 4 a.m. discussing their favorite series in hotel lobbies. Was it awkward sometimes? Absolutely. Was it cringe? Probably, but it was authentic. Okay, the mainstream boom. Then anime exploded. The rise of social media played a huge role. Streaming services made anime easier to access than ever before. You no longer had to hunt down DVDs, and back then for us, videotapes, or wait for episodes to air on television. Shows like Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and many others brought millions of new fans to the community. Suddenly, anime wasn't something only a niche group enjoyed, it became a popular culture. Naturally, conventions grew with that popularity. Attendance numbers skyrocketed, vendor halls became large, celebrity guest lists became bigger, corporate sponsorships became more common. The money flowing into conventions increased dramatically. And while growth brought many benefits, it also changed the atmosphere. When conventions became content creation spaces, one of the biggest differences today is the influence of social media. Years ago, people attended conventions primarily to experience the convention. Today, many people attend conventions to create content. You'll see photo shoots happening everywhere. You'll see TikTok recordings throughout the venue. You'll see live streams, reels, shorts, and cosplay content being produced constantly. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it creates a different environment. The focus shifts from experience the event to documenting the event. Sometimes it feels like people are attending conventions to prove they were there rather than simply enjoy being there. The convention becomes a backdrop for content. And for some longtime attendees, the shift can feel strange. Okay, the influencer effect. Another major change is the rise of convention influencers. Years ago, most attendees were on equal footing. Today, there are VIP meetups, influencer events, sponsored creators, and social media personalities with huge followings. Some convention spaces can start feeling divided between regular attendees and online celebrities. For newer fans, this might seem normal. For older fans, it can feel like conventions have become more focused on status and visibility than community. Absolutely. The culture feels less grassroots and more commercial. The cost problem. Okay, so let's talk about money. Conventions have become significantly more expensive. Badges cost more, hotels cost more, parking costs more, food costs more, merchandise prices have increased. Cosplay expectations have become more expensive as well. Years ago, someone could throw together a simple cosplay and fit right in. Now, social media constantly showcases professional quality costumes that can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. While nobody is required to spend that kind of money, the pressure can feel very real. Some people no longer feel like they're participating in a hobby, they feel like they're trying to keep up. Has the community changed? This is where things get complicated because not everything about modern conventions is worse. In fact, many things are objectively better. Conventions are generally more inclusive than they used to be. There's more diversity among attendees. There's greater acceptance of different identities and fandoms. The production quality of events is often much higher. Guests are more accessible, panels are more professional, there's more entertainment than ever before. So, why do some people feel disconnected? I think the answer is simple. Communities change when they grow. When a fandom is small, people often feel connected because everyone shares a similar level of passion. When millions of people join, that shared identity becomes harder to maintain. The community becomes broader, more diverse, more mainstream, and inevitably less intimate. The nostalgia question. Of course, we also need to be honest about nostalgia. Sometimes we aren't actually missing the old conventions, we're missing who we were when we attended them. Maybe we miss being younger, maybe we miss discovering anime for the first time, maybe we miss the excitement of finding people who share our interests. It's possible that conventions have changed as much as we think. Maybe we've changed, and that's an uncomfortable possibility that many people don't like to consider. And my final thoughts. So, have anime conventions become less cringe? Absolutely. Anime has become one of the most successful entertainment industries in the world. Conventions are bigger, more accepted, and more popular than ever. But some fans believe that in becoming mainstream, conventions lost some of the authenticity that made them special, not because anime became popular, but because popularity changes culture. The weirdness that once pushed people together has faded. The feeling of belonging to a niche community has been replaced by participation in a massive global fandom. Neither version is inherently better, they're simply different. But if you attended conventions for years and feel like something has changed, you probably not imagining it. The atmosphere is different, the priorities are different, the culture is different. The real question is this: did anime conventions lose their spark, or are they simply evolving into something new? So please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you prefer modern anime conventions, or do you miss the old school convention experience? Hello, Fanstown. So I'm not going to hold y'all up. Thank you guys for tuning in, and please share your comments, but keep it respectful. And until next time, bye.